to lesson number 9 of math. If you've been wondering why we use the blackboard for these lessons, it's very simple. A whiteboard simply reflects too much light. Blackboard is just fine for recording like this. I want to remember to suggest to you that you go to Khan Academy online. You can learn as much math as you're willing to invest your time for there. And I want to recommend Salman Khan's book, One World Schoolhouse. One of the things I like so much about Salman Khan's book is on page 117 of the book, where he says, "The lectures are gravy. The real meat of learning occurs when peers are learning and teaching one another alongside the teacher." And that is genuine peer tutoring. That's good for the one who gives the help and good for the one who receives the help. So peer tutoring is an excellent way to learn. In this lesson, we are going to be talking and thinking about circles. Very interesting part of geometry. You should have a circle for your notes. You can draw one. Yours will look better than mine. My circles always tend to look like Charlie Brown's head. But we can still use an imperfect circle. What we want to do is label this the circumference. You remember when we talked about rectangles and when we talked about squares, we had straight lines to multiply one times the other. For centuries, mathematicians could not accurately measure the area of a circle. They would generally draw a square around the circle, and because they knew how to measure a square, and then they would say, a circle's about the same. But here's what made all that change. When you take a string and you measure around the circle, instead of calling it the perimeter, because there are no sides to measure, we're going to call it circumference, the distance around a circle. When you measure that carefully with a string, put that on your desk, and you measure the diameter with the string, cut that, put it on your desk, you'll find out that circumference string is a little bit more than 3 times the length of the diameter. It is exactly 3.14 times longer. And this is called pi. That's a letter from the Greek alphabet. In English, it's spelled pi. It's the relationship between the circumference and the diameter. Circumference is 3.14 times longer than the diameter. This number is for high school math. In higher math, you'll use more digits to the right because you want it to be more accurate. For high school, this is perfect. It's similar to 3 1/7. So once this was discovered, then mathematicians could start measuring circles perfectly. So the first formula to understand is circumference equals pi times the diameter. Here we can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units. The diameter is 6 long. So we want to put pi equals 3.14, d equals 6, and then all we have to do is multiply 6 times 3.14. And we get 18.84, which is the circumference. As you know, we use the first letter of each word in the attempts we make to figure out the answer. The formulas use the first letter of each word. So that's this one, the distance around. There are only 4 formulas to learn about circles. And another one you can see very clearly right here. You can see the diameter is 2 times the radius. This is the diameter. That's the radius, like the spoke of a wheel. These could be in any location. You could spin it. Wherever it lands, it's still the diameter. It's still the radius. So the diameter, you can see, is 2 times the radius. Here we have radius equals 1, 2, 3. Diameter equals 2 times 3. Diameter equals 6. And we saw that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's the second formula for geometry of circles. And the third one is to find the radius when you're given the diameter. So, the diameter we know is 6. So we have radius equals 1/2 times the diameter, which is 6, and we want to put it over 1. 1 times 6 is 6. 2 times 1 is 2. When we divide 6 by 2, we get 3. And we have the radius, therefore, equals 3. 1, 2, 3. It all fits together. It all makes sense. The area of a circle, amazingly, because of pi, can be figured exactly, even though it's round every place and there are no straight lines. We can still figure the exact number of square units within the circle. Pi makes that possible. So what we want now is this area. Pi equals 3.14, radius equals 3. Area, therefore, equals, the little 2, as you know, is an exponent. It does not mean multiply by 2 unless the radius is 2. What it does mean is multiply the radius by itself. So we can say 3 times 3 is 9. So we have 3.14 times 9. And all we have to do is multiply this. And we have the area of the circle. 3.14 times 9, 36, carry 3. 12, carry 1. 28.26. Area equals 28.26. So now you have an example, one example for each of the 4 formulas for a circle. What you need from this point is lots and lots of practice, because this is the introduction. And to learn it, you need to go over it again and again and again. You have to be your own teacher to learn math. When you're working word problems, you want to remember to see what they're asking. If they're asking the circumference, then the letter C is what's going to start off your formula. C equals pi d. If they're asking for the diameter, that's the D formula. If they're asking for the radius, that's the R formula. By the way, when you take 1/2 of the diameter, when you take 1/2 of anything, the last step when you multiply by 1/2 is always divide by 2. So if you're taking a time test and you remember that, you can save yourself some time. Jump straight to that and divide by 2, you have the answer. And for the area, A equals pi times the radius times itself. And if you practice these over and over again, you'll get really good at them. And when you come to a word problem based on circles, you'll be able to solve that word problem. Circles are fascinating and possibly the most interesting formulas you'll be working with. So good luck with all of your math and good luck with your circle formulas. And that concludes the video for lesson number 9. Thank you.